All right, cool. Let's go around the table, the imaginary table that we now have in front of us.
And let's introduce
And
ourselves.
yeah, so I
Hi,
don't know.
I'm
Introduce
Joe
yourself,
Wilson,
please.
aka Tom Servo, and I'm a loudmouth.
Mm-hmm. All right. Someone else go. Someone else go. We're playing it by ear. Archie, you spoke. You next.
I guess I'll go. Okay. Archie.
Yeah,
Whatever.
names, degrees, I guess. I don't know. We're all. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right. Yeah, I'm Izzy. I am also a senior at Marshall doing the game design program. So yee, here we go.
I'm Jensen. I'll be a junior doing the game design major at Marshall.
Heck yeah.
I'm Hydra, also known as Cameron. I'll be doing the game design major as well at Marshall.
What year are you
just
in now?
Hearing that name, Cameron, just kind of makes
Junior.
me kind of amusing
Or not
because
junior.
like I've been doing a
sophomore.
few things by myself, and I've been ending them
Yeah.
with that's a wrap,
Sophomore.
Cameron, with a joke that is going to cut off before I finish the name.
What was that, Cameron?
Sophomore.
Sophomore. Gotcha. Okay.
All right,
Well, I
so,
mean, yeah. I mean, here we are. All right. So
Welcome to Cauldron.
this is our podcast. Where did Cameron go?
Hydra,
He's
what
back.
did you do?
Welcome back.
Don't worry about that. I accidentally clicked the wrong thing.
All
here.
right, cool. Moving right along. This is our design podcast. This is the first thing we've ever done in this regard, so this should be fun.
Fun with a capital F.
Yeah. Let's. Okay, so we've got a few things that we wanted to talk about, but I think Jensen, you wanted to do Cadence of Hyrule because you actually had some thoughts on that.
Yeah, I played the whole thing the day after it came out because I was bored.
So what are
Good
your
a reason
thoughts
as
on it?
any.
Yeah, I finished it and I loved it. And the game is made by the people who made Crypt of the Necrodancer.
Mhm.
Speaking
they
of which, I'm a
put
little disappointed
Zel-
that Steve Gunner hasn't done kazoo rips of it yet.
That's true. He needs to get on that. But they put Zelda like characters in the world into the mechanics of Crypt of the Necrodancer. So all of the Zelda music has been remixed so that all of the attacks and movement can be rhythm based. And the game is fantastic and the story's fantastic. I won't spoil anything for everybody who wants to play it.
Jensen,
But
How do,
I think that the game itself was a fantastic way to take an already set in stone IP and create a game using your own mechanics from that IP that's not too like detrimental to the already famous characters that you're using.
Right, yeah.
Jensen, how exactly did they incorporate like the Zelda stuff into Crypt of the Necrodancer?
So basically, they took a character from that universe named Cadence, and they dropped her into Hyrule, and you can play as Cadence, Zelda, or Link,
No, like,
and you get to
on a
choose at the
mechanical
beginning.
standpoint, how do they fit those things in?
From a mechanical standpoint, they took the top-down dungeon crawling gameplay of it feels like the Game Boy games.
Oh, like
Okay.
but
Oracle and
yeah, it feels like the Game
Link's
Boy
Awakening?
games.
But isn't
Yeah.
Necrodancer already like that?
Yeah, they took like that, and they put like you have to move to the rhythm, or else it won't let you move, and you have to attack to the rhythm, or else you'll miss.
But like, how do they incorporate Zelda specific stuff into Necrodancer?
The game is based in the Zelda universe.
But mechanically, it doesn't. It's basically just Crypt of the Necrodancer.
Yeah, pretty much it plays like Crypt of the Necrodancer, but it is using Zelda characters.
That
Right.
was somewhat disappointing
How so?
because,
Yeah.
like, I, because like to me, I'm kind of thinking like, if you're going to make a crossover, I'd expect to see I guess it makes sense that they mainly do it with the gameplay of 1, but I'd kind of like to see them incorporate at least a little bit of the Zelda mechanics into this game. Like maybe pull some
I'm
stuff from Link's Awakening or Oracle of Seasons slash Ages.
I mean, to be fair, Cryptid Necrodancer is already like kind of based upon that top-down dungeon crawling aspects. The only thing that I feel like would really be missing from something like Cadence of Hyrule, if you're wanting to create a true like full remix of Zelda, would be to have uh, Cadence of Hyrule have like Zelda-style puzzles.
Or
But
no, I
you,
was also
even,
thinking like
Which it
Zelda
does.
style
It does have
items,
It does?
like
Oh, it does
Blueberry
have
or
puzzles?
Hookshot or like
It has puzzles that you have to solve in it, and I can't say if they're like extremely close to Zelda puzzles or extremely close to Crypt of the Necrodancer puzzles. But there are a lot of puzzles and like dungeons and stuff. You have to figure out what you're doing.
Oh, before I actually end up forgetting, for people who don't know what the heck Crypt of the Necrodancer is, can you give a brief rundown of how that works? Because we've been talking about it for a minute, I just realized there's probably people who are going to listen to this who have no idea what the heck Crypt of the Necrodancer is.
Yeah.
like me.
Yeah, that would be a nice movie.
Yeah. Crypt of the Necrodancer is a dungeon crawling game where you have to use the rhythm of the music that is playing in the background to fight everything and fight bosses.
Right. Okay, yeah, no, yeah. I mean, that's as long and short of it, but that game is just amazing. I love that game so much.
Yeah.
But, so Thomas, you're saying that you wish that, like, the tools of Zelda are what's important to you from Zelda?
Well,
Is
no,
that what you're kind
I'm
of
more
getting at?
saying that if you're going to make a crossover with Zelda, I feel like you should incorporate a few more of the Zelda mechanics into it rather than just throwing out a fresh coat of paint. It's kind of
Yeah.
it's kind of like
I,
Super Mario Bros. 2 and Doki Doki Panic.
yeah. I can see that standpoint. I know that you can play as Zelda, Link, or Cadence, and they all have their own like abilities, which is probably more of a callback to other games. And the story is based on like the Triforce and all that. But I can see what you're saying, where there's not enough Zelda in the game.
Yeah, because from what I've gotten from your description of it, it seems less like Crypt of the Necrodancer plus Zelda and more like Zelda done in the style of Crypt of the Necrodancer. Which feels a little bit disappointing. Because like if I were doing it, I'd make it a bit more of an equal crossover. Like, yeah, I'd have the Crypt of the Necrodancer style gameplay, but I'd also incorporate a few bits of the Zelda elements into it. That or do something like Mario and Sonic and do something completely different to either.
Yeah, that was basically what I was going to like come to a point with this discussion is like, how would you, if you were put into the position that you had a game and somebody with a big IP came and said, cross over your game with ours, how would you go about
Well,
it?
it would depend on the two games because the way I'd probably go about it is trying to mix the two styles together. Like,
That wouldn't always work, you
It
know.
depends on the
Yeah.
game and the length of the crossover. Like, if it's just something like calling back to old school PS2 days, Soul Calibur and Link being in it just randomly.
yeah, but then
Which is a good crossover.
I'd say that's at least
Or
adding
if
in
it's something
some of
like Cadence.
the mechanics of it because you're including a new
depends
fighter.
on the length of the hot. Yeah,
Oh,
it just depends on the length of the crossover. To what degree I personally would say, but
I mean, we see this sometimes with fighting games. Fighting games have a lot of crossover between them. I mean, we have the really extreme recent example of Ryu being in Smash 4 and Smash 5, Smash
but-
Ultimate.
Smash Brothers doesn't count because Smash Brothers, by its very nature, is a crossover. That's not
I
really
mean,
a
that's
good
certainly
example.
it's the ultimate crossover.
I mean,
I'd
but-
say you deserve to be shot for that.
But
say
in
that.
all honesty, but in seriousness, they did a really excellent job trying to like create a kind of bridge between the two styles because Ryu fundamentally works like kind of differently from some of the other characters because you're allowed to continue to use some of the Street Fighter inputs for Ryu in that game
Yeah, and
to
it gives you
get
stronger
more
attacks,
powered
doesn't
out
it?
faster. Yeah. And also when you're
Yeah.
in a one-on-one confrontation,
He always
with
faces his
Ryu,
opponent.
Yeah, which means that you're actually playing by kind of Street Fighter-esque rules
Yeah,
in
I know they
Smash,
do that
which
for
is really
several of the other
interesting.
fighters. There are like several YouTube series that you can find where they show off how they incorporated elements of the fighter from their games, like or not, like Ganondorf.
I mean, and we also have this.
Ganondorf's a hard place to
He's
put
basically a
because
Captain Falcon clone.
he's always been kind of. He was originally a Falcon clone. Now he's a mix of Falcon and Ike.
Yeah, but he's still like Ganondorf.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, he's still Ganondorf.
No, I
We
mean,
also
like, he's
see-
not like
But I
the kind
agree
of
with
character
you.
you get in
Oh,
the whole
Jen-
series. He's
Oh, Jensen. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you because if you've watched the reveal trailer for the hero character, not that I'm going to get too deep into that, but you can see that some of his mechanics are going to be based around like selecting from a JRPG menu on top of the
Oh, like
character
a-
inside of battling in Smash
Soul?
Brothers.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
they're
and
really trying their best.
I'm not gonna say any moves, but they chose some really good ones, and one that I'm very interested to see on how that censorship worked out. But okay.
Also, I should mention that Hydra's a big fan
speaking
of Banjo-Kazooie.
Oh yeah.
Alright.
Who is it? Who like Banjo is like one of the kings of that entire genre.
Gotta love that.
We also have more crossovers in fighting
Oh.
games as well because Street Fighter has had Tekken characters come in. We also have there's a game called BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle
Oh
by
yeah, but
Arc
with the
System,
Ruby in it.
which has a bunch of different like actual fighting game characters mixed up, but they're all within the to be fair, they're all within the same game
Genre.
format. And they're all within the same
Yeah.
game mechanics. They haven't brought in any of those other mechanics. They just
And then there's of course Soul Calibur and its plethora of crossovers over the
Yeah,
years.
Then
which-
there's
mhm.
then there's Mortal Kombat in DC.
yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
that's not
Yeah.
exactly quite different because they're basically just creating new characters all on the fly because you don't have any because like I'd say it's more like I think like Street Crosser X Tekken would be a better example because you're having two series that play fundamentally differently in the same game, trying to figure out how those two go together.
Mm-hmm. I'm trying to think if there's any other like big crossover games that have had such like
Mega Man X Street
impacts.
Fighter.
Um. Hmm.
That's basically Street Fighter
trying to
instead of
think
Mega
of-
Man. Then again, that's a fan game, so I'm not sure that counts.
Trying to think of games that aren't in the fighting
I
genre.
think
Yeah.
we touched upon all of them. But speaking of Smash, why not head over to E3?
Ooh, another crossover. Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games.
But that's
Yes.
There you
Yeah.
go.
although I'm a bit
So,
skeptical to include that in this discussion because Mario and Sonic is basically a completely different gameplay style to either Mario or Sonic.
That is true, and that's a different way that you could take a crossovers. Like we just have these characters that we like. Let's do something.
Yeah.
like
I
do
mean,
something
we-
completely random, like Olympic Games.
Yeah, we also see that happen with the Warhammer series. Warhammer 40K is like a tabletop RPG, but some people over at I forget the company at the moment. They ended up making I forget what's the name of it. It's V something. The Left 4 Dead rat game that they have. Vermintide, that's the name of it. They have Warhammer Vermintide, which is set in the regular Warhammer universe,
How do you spell
but
Vermintide?
it's actually
Oh yeah,
Vermintide.
Warhammer End
yeah.
Times Vermintide.
Yeah. It's actually a like Left 4 Dead style like horde game, but it's all set within the same like kind of universe style as Warhammer, despite Warhammer normally being a like tactics game or being
it's
a
a war game.
full scale game. Because there's also Total War Warhammer, which is a different thing, but also within the same universe.
Or like the Warriors spin-off, like Hyrule Warriors, the new Fire Emblem thing that they're doing.
That's a good point.
I forgot about all the Warriors.
Yeah.
Dear God. They even did a
Hey,
Pokemon
really?
one. And it was even like a normal Pokemon spin-off. Pokemon Conquest. It was a Warriors
I thought it
crossover,
was more
but
like a real-time
at the
strategy
same
sort of
time,
game.
it was...
I thought that was more like an RTS.
It is, but it's still Warriors crossover, which is the
Well,
odd thing
yeah, but
because they tried to actually implement the turn-based even more so than they did with Fire
although
Emblem.
That's funny.
I think
Because with
with
Fire Emblem, oh hey, it's sword
excuse me,
users.
but I'm I'm going to cut you off right there because if you're talking about what I think you're talking about, they're not crossing over with Warriors, they're crossing over with Japanese history.
No, I mean, isn't it like based upon the Fire Emblem series, or is it based? Or are you saying it's based upon like the? Because Hyrule Warriors and like the actual like Warriors series is different, right?
Yeah, it's just more like when you're saying, like, because what I think what Hydro was talking about was like the characters of Warriors going in there, which I'm saying is those are characters from Japanese history, so I'm not quite sure that counts quite as much as a crossover.
It could count as a cultural crossover kind of thing.
Which
That
is
gets us into a whole
I
nother.
have
very interesting
another
when you think about
instance of
history.
crossover that we haven't brought up.
Yes, Jensen.
Mario and Rabbids.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, that.
That's
the
the
big
I actually
one.
remember like
That's the big one. It's
I,
like
my one
that's the
memory of
one
that
that
game is
everybody thought would
seeing the
fail.
guy named Robert Luigi thinking about, huh, I'm in a video game now. Um,
And they took it and ran with it and came up with a game that like people unironically enjoyed, even that like if they would have taken out the big name brands that were
well,
in
yeah,
the
that's
game,
called
there was
XCOM.
probably still people that are going to enjoy it.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's literally like an XCOM like Mario game, which is
XCOM game
amazing.
you can show your
I
kids.
still need to buy that game.
It's XCOM plus Mario plus Rabbids.
Why does it
and
work?
It's executed almost
Yeah, from what
flawlessly.
gameplay I've seen of that, they do a pretty good job of incorporating like Mario aesthetics and Mario
I-
like kind of mechanics into it, like with the way that you're supposed to be interacting with it, right? Like,
Although
there's
I'll
Yeah,
do it on
I
the team
haven't
upwards.
played the Donkey Kong DLC yet, which was a thing that happened, but from the base game alone, without spoiling anything, it's so well integrated that it genuinely feels like you're actually playing a Mario game, even though it's an RTS.
Oh yeah, but that's because what constitutes a Mario game is very open at this point. Like you've got party game, you've got racing game, you've
I'm mainly constituting as the 3D platformer, like 3D World.
And then also, there's another game coming out very soon, which is a different take on crossover that I want to bring up. Gears of War is doing a mobile game where all of the characters are modeled in the same way that Funko Pops are
oh,
modeled.
what?
Really?
I remember
yes.
that from the Microsoft.
This is what I get for
conference,
only
yeah.
looking at like compilation threads instead of actually watching.
this is
it.
what I get for only knowing
Microsoft's
of E3
conference
from
was
Steve
interesting.
Gunner.
It wasn't good, but wasn't bad. It was interesting.
So, yeah, so it's like it's a very different kind of crossover where a company that's not in video games was like, let's make a video game with a well-known video game and still kind of make it about them, but just kind of incorporate
Like
them.
Yeah.
the Lego games.
Yeah, like the Lego games.
Also,
Yeah, the Lego games are the perfect example you could give for a crossover like that because it's
no, 'cause,
taking
like-
one of the most famous toy brands of all time and combining it with famous franchises and making a
oh
game
yeah.
out of it.
Also, I was going to mention Persona Q.
Yeah.
Persona Q and Persona Q2.
Oh. I've never played Q1. I just know that it's like taking Persona 3 and 4 and injecting it into the gameplay style of Etrian Odyssey. Speaking of which, I wonder how they're going to adapt it to the Switch, considering that's a series that is pretty much based off of the DS.
Isn't there also a Persona fighting game?
Oh yeah, Persona 4 Arena.
Right.
And,
I haven't played any of the Persona games. I don't intend to, but they I wonder how good of a job they did there as far as combining those
And I
mechanics.
also know like they made a rhythm game too, Dancing All Night.
What long-running series at this point hasn't done a rhythm game? Mario did a rhythm game in the form of Mario DDR, which was amazing.
Yeah, Waluigi is the final boss in that game.
We don't talk about DDR.
It was amazing. You can't stop me. All right. I'm trying to think if there's any. I can't think of any other good examples, but I mean,
In terms of like other crossovers.
Yeah, other crossovers that like seem to have done anything interesting. I mean, the kind of crossovers that we're willing to talk about of like
In
ones
terms
that
of
are
like design wise, yeah.
yeah, there aren't
Yeah.
there don't seem to be a ton out there that have like really melded two games into one.
There's-
Oh wait, actually I just thought of one. Fortune Street.
There's one that I could think of, but it's not that interesting. So
What was that,
yeah.
Thomas?
Fortune
I
Street.
think we've ran out of ideas here. So.
Oh, Fortune Street. Isn't
I
that
know-
the Monopoly game?
Yeah, with Mario and Dragon Quest. The Runaway guys have done a few playthroughs
Oh,
of it with their
Fortune
guests.
Street. Yeah. Hold on.
Why does this game exist?
Also, it has a reference to Yoshi trying to dodge his taxes.
That's a very early meme.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry about that, guys.
You're good.
Where did you come from? Where did you go?
Okay, so goodness. Yeah, I found the quote. Oh jeez. I does that meld anything other than the fact that it's Monopoly and Mario Party?
Am I back? Am I
You're
back?
You're back.
Yeah, you're back. From what I've seen,
Okay,
it doesn't seem
sorry
to do
about
much
that.
with the two franchises. They're just more like glorified pawns.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think we can safely conclude that not a lot of games do a merging of mechanics like that. Now, Think Tank, why?
Because
It's hard.
I think part of it is because of the
Yeah.
fact that with a lot of crossovers, the reason why they're doing it is because of star power. Like Mario and Sonic of the Olympic Games, if they had just gone with straight Olympics games, nobody would have given a care. Mario and Sonic, however, ooh, I've been waiting for this since the 90s.
That is true, and I think it's hard to create a game and find that perfect balance of
Yeah,
one game to
like
another
both-
game, because I don't think any amount of play testing and beta testing within a company can get a game like that ready to go out to
Well,
market.
Yeah,
Also,
trying to
I think-
meld mechanics like that
Yeah.
is really difficult for
Yeah.
sure. Like even
Because
trying
I
to
was
think
going to go
tank.
back to,
how-
like,
Honestly, just
like,
to bring
stuff
it up
like
again,
Street Fighter X
the
and
one that's
Mega Man are, like-
probably done it the best is Smash.
yeah.
Yeah, but that's because
Yeah.
Smash.
Like, even the characters that don't have that many of unique mechanics are still very faithful to their
Yeah,
original series.
But they're also doing something completely different to most of the games being involved. Like Dr. Octavian mentioned before, the only one who's actually from a fighting game is Ryu.
And really, with the kind of a universal control scheme, it's best to just use that instead of trying to combine two or more separate franchises' controls into one.
For
Yeah.
sure.
I'm
Yeah.
also just thinking, like, it's probably, like, with a lot of series, it'd be hard to try and merge the two gameplay styles. Like, I know that Street Fighter X Mega Man has, like, it's mainly a Mega Man game, but it does have several Street Fighter influences. Like, I know you can cancel out several of the projectiles by just shooting it, because that was something you could do in Street Fighter. And there's even, and if you manage to defeat a boss without getting hit, you get a perfect.
Yeah.
Now I'm wondering how.
Oh,
yeah.
and there's a cheat code that changes all of the music to a song called "Goes with Everything." Take a guess.
I'm wondering if they're like how.
Ba-da-da-da-da.
Yes,
I wonder
dancing.
how well a crossover between something like some modern FPSs would end up going. I feel like it would end up going very poorly.
With what?
Like a crossover between
Well, I mean,
something like
actually, that. Not to go into crossover territory, but Splatoon at one point was in development as a bunch of colored Yoshis, so.
Yeah, but
yeah, I mean
That
then
almost
Splatoon
is
wasn't-
what
models
was
they have
like a
available.
Mario game.
Yeah.
Yeah, what if Mario was in Call of Duty?
Yeah, I.
That's called Mario Party.
there you go.
Okay.
Well, I mean, they're just about as healthy for your
I don't
relationships.
see Mario ending up in. The closest I see Mario getting to an FPS is probably something like.
Sunshine?
Yeah, actually,
Yeah.
Or
Sunshine.
Rabbids with the whatever they have in that game.
Well, yeah, but that's a
blasters.
turbo strategy,
The
not an
blasters.
FPS.
Speaking of which, some of those shocked me with the names. Like the Bowser one, for example. It actually says straight up just Hell Blaster.
Wait.
It's just like,
Wait, what?
okay, skipping straight to the point.
Well then.
All right, I think we've probably beat like the idea of crossovers within games to death, considering there isn't a whole ton of ground as far as we can tell to cover at this point.
Yeah.
If there's anything else, I'm
Although
sure
we've
we'll
managed
be
to go for like
told.
25 minutes so far, so I think we've done a good job.
Yep. All right,
Yeah.
so
Play Cadence of
yeah,
Hyrule.
play it. It's amazing.
I want to
So
switch
do we
so
wanna-
badly.
Do we want to give a kind of our overview impressions of E3 and then move on to some design talk? Alrighty, coolio.
Don't give a clock.
All right, who wants to go off? Because I have some things I want to do, but I'm gonna have to pull up the threads for them. So you guys go ahead.
Oh boy.
I only have a couple things. One thing I'm really excited about is Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga.
Yeah.
It's combines two of my favorite things, Legos and Star Wars, so I'm going to get it.
Am I
And
the only person
from
who
what I've
doesn't give a clock about Star Wars?
Yeah, pretty much. Star Wars is amazing. Continue,
Yeah.
Archie.
But they also are going back to grunting, from what I read. Like like
Okay.
the original communication
They're
style.
actually going back to the original PS2 grunts.
Yes,
Yo.
that's what I read. That they're going back to grunting and have all 9 movies.
Yeah. It's like,
And
Okay.
Yeah, it's gonna have all 9 movies. That's one of the coolest things about it, is that it's like a
yeah, 'cause,
complete
like,
collection.
Definitely.
honestly, like,
Is it-
And
and this is Lego Star Wars?
yes,
also,
That's
like,
really
I'm kind
cool.
of glad that they're going back to the old style because, like, when I played the new one, I kind of got the feeling that because, like, the thing about the Lego Star Wars games is that they had a very visual sense of humor, and like having the dialogue kind of felt like, this isn't what I come to a
Oh,
Lego
yeah.
game for. I want to see this stupid sight gags.
and
The
it's
side gags have always been the best part of the Lego games.
definitely. Like you just sit there and laugh just from them grunting and using no words,
Yeah.
and they just try to force it with everything else now.
They basically
Like with
called up Charlie Chaplin and been like, "Hey, can we steal all your jokes? Thanks, bye." Click.
Yeah.
I think they stole more than his jokes.
Oh yeah.
Does
I
this mean
think,
we're
like,
going to get
it
a
could-
black and white filter for the next Lego game?
But I think we can all assume that like DLC will be like stuff from the comics or maybe stuff from like the Clone Wars and Rebels.
Yeah.
And, like-
I expect
like
more
any
Clone Wars
new-
and Rebels, if only because those are still canon at this point.
Well, yeah, they are canon, but like they're like this game is focusing mainly on the 9 movies. Like anything else would probably be DLC
Yeah.
at this point.
I know,
The
I'm
Star
just
Wars
saying more
Christmas
that
special.
Yes,
Did
yes,
I just hear a blank in my audio?
probably. That might have been me.
Anyway, Hydro,
Anyway,
your turn.
So,
Besides Banjo.
what I'm excited for right now, 2 things mainly. Luigi's Mansion 3, Return of Portrait Ghost, so that's amazing. I've been
For
saying
sure.
that ever since Dark Moon came out. The next one needs to have it.
Can't wait to see Chuck
And
play
the
that
fact
one.
that they're also going back to the whole one area thing, but they're doing with it a whole 4 series.
Yeah.
It all just lines up with how I wanted it, just not how I was expecting, and
Mhm.
I have high hopes for it that look to be fulfilled. So,
Yeah.
Oh, hi,
and
Tim.
then the other thing, of course, is Banjo and Smash.
You completely
Also
missed
hi,
our
Tim.
25-minute discussion on
Banjo is in
crossovers.
Smash.
So yeah, Luigi's Mansion. I am so excited for Luigi's Mansion. Like you have no idea. The fact of the matter is that, and that's the thing. That's one of the things I'm really interested about with this is that it's like a mainline Nintendo title, like a main series Nintendo title that has like good co-op. Like it's very rare for Nintendo to give us a good couch co-op game, like where the second player is even like 3/4 of a like main character.
Well, besides the new Super Mario Bros. Games.
I mean, those are like, those are meant to be multiplayer, but that's like a different kind of experience. That's a level-based experience. And here we're looking at like what's like a mainline story kind of game. Like Odyssey, all of the mainline Mario games, there's never been good co-op in those. Those have always been like the kind of pointer ones, which is okay.
Oh wait, you
that's
mean like
there.
the mainline 3D games? Because the 2D games have always had co-op in some sort of sense.
Yeah.
Even if
it's
it's
always
taking
been more of
turns,
a couch co-op.
or
sense of
playing at
things.
the same time and trolling the heck out of your brother.
Yeah, like the fact that we have Gooigi like as a co-op partner is amazing, and I cannot wait for that because that is.
Luigi's entire purpose is to be player 2.
But the interesting thing about that makes me curious is that that's obviously going to be a power-up, and unless they're going to give that to you, like at some point later in the game, it doesn't seem.
Power-up?
Well, it's like some kind of upgrade for the Poltergust. So
Excuse
In
me?
single player, it's like a power up that you have to control them separately.
yeah. So does that mean I didn't watch any of their E3 footage, but does that mean that the
From what we know, the new Poltergust, the GX0, I think it was called, I'm pretty sure it just comes with Gooigi straight away because it's a combination of all the previous Poltergusts.
Okay, cool. So we could start out immediately with co-op and then play most of the game
From what
co-op,
I
probably.
remember from the gameplay, yes.
That's
they
really
never showed
cool.
off the co-op until halfway through after they got some more power-ups, but yeah.
Okay, yeah. That's really cool then, because that means that like you could feasibly play the game as a two-player game, which is really cool because that also does a weird thing where that possibly pulls down the difficulty of the game.
Yeah.
Because
Although-
the original intent for the Gooigi is to like be a puzzle-solving like part piece.
Yeah.
But if he is being able to work at the same time, then voila, you've got two Luigis on screen doing stuff.
Yeah. Although I'm also just kind of thinking of the fact that if they're going to be doing anything for two-player, I kind of wonder if it's going to have the same problem as Portal 2, and that if you have one person who's played the game before and somebody who hasn't, it's going to be a lot less fun for the person who has, because they're waiting for the other dude to stop to stop moping around and start and figure out what the heck they're supposed to be doing.
Hello.
Oh, hey, there's Tim.
Hey,
Hello,
sweet.
Tim.
Yeah, I don't know
Okay,
why
cool.
I was gone there. So
Cool.
now I am
You wanna
recording, and I am hearable in Discord.
Coolio. You
So
want to go
awesome.
ahead and introduce yourself for us?
Sure. So I'm Tim. I'm also known as Sonic Tim, and yeah, I graduated graduated Marshall University, former president of the guild. So
Yeah, welcome back. So Hydra just went for E3 like takeaways and discussion points. Who wants to go next?
all right, I want to say just to comment on
Yeah.
what's been going on before. So
Go on.
the two-player co-op thing. I think it makes a lot of sense after Breath of the Wild, where so many people were seeing that game and saying, wow, this is like a multiplayer game, even though there's just one person with the controller, because everyone else in the room wants to help with the puzzle. So I think
Yeah, but like
this Luigi's Mansion might be trying to fill that
Yeah.
fill that need.
The idea of a multiplayer puzzle game makes me uncomfortable because the only example I can think of off the top of my head is Portal 2, and that didn't do so well.
Yeah, now one thing about Portal 2 is whenever you bring in a new player, you have to start all the way at the beginning, which is why it gets so boring and so repetitive
is-
when you have to play it with a lot
That
of
is
people.
frustrating.
But
That's not true.
in Luigi's
If
Mansion,
you
if we
your
have a
own
more...
progress, you can,
Hold on a
You
second.
have all the levels
Thomas,
you've already
Luigi's
done
Mansion.
unlocked.
stop.
So Luigi's Mansion, if we have a more single-player oriented experience that just has more players, then there's probably a much longer series of levels and puzzles and all that. And even if one of the players has never played the game before, they can probably just jump in at any point in the game. So
Yeah,
it's
but I
just as
imagine
fun
that'd
for
be
both people.
frustrating for people who have played it before and are waiting for the dope to stop stumbling around and actually get around to finishing the puzzle.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be quite as big as Portal, based on what I'm seeing, where you have to take a long time to run to places, but
Well,
I could be wrong.
Because, like, the thing that
We'll see.
although I also comparing Portal, because although Portal 2's co-op mode was specifically designed for for co-op too. And from what you guys have been saying, it seems more like this is a single-player game with other people attached onto it, like the new Super Mario Bros. Games.
Yeah.
So, I'm unsure whether or not that's a good idea.
We'll see. Looks really cool to me.
Yeah, I'm very excited. Who wants to go with another E3 game? Because
I can
alright,
go.
yes.
I have two points to make, but one of them is very short. The short one first is that Microsoft announced their new console, Project Scarlet, and said zero about it. They had
Good
they had a
marketing.
2-minute video where they just said numbers and words, and then they're like, Halo's gonna come out for it, but we don't have any gameplay footage, and that was it.
Microsoft loves their numbers.
Oh yeah.
Well, Microsoft makes
8K,
PCs.
baby.
They know what gets PC gamers interested. More and better specs.
That's
I'm
true.
not entirely wrong on that
But
one.
yeah. Secondly, Animal Crossing is gonna be awesome.
Yes, let's talk Animal Crossing. Let's go.
I've personally never actually been a fan. The only one that I played is City Folk. So
Yeah. Honestly, like, Animal Crossing doesn't really appeal to me just more because of the fact that I'm not entirely a fan of the whole like playing everyday thing because it's because like for me like especially like because I remember like I can't remember when I unlocked Champions Road. I still haven't beaten it yet.
Jensen, go on.
The big thing I wanted to talk about, which was more of a like studio development standpoint, is that they delayed the game to give their developers more like
Are we
life,
going to
basically.
go into
So
Sword
they
and
Oh,
didn't.
yeah.
So they
They
did.
did.
They wouldn't.
it's like-
They wouldn't have to crunch.
so many people just brush that off and are like, oh well, at least we'll get a good game instead of a bad game. But it's like
Yeah.
you also have to remember in a world where Rockstar is kind of working people to literal bone.
Okay, wait,
It's kind
guys.
of shocking
guys.
that a publisher like Nintendo would do
Guys.
stuff
Yeah,
like that.
I mean, this isn't too uncommon for them either because they apparently delayed.
Guys.
They've always been the case of, delaying a game for an extreme period of time to make sure it's always right. Like, that's always been Nintendo's kind of modus operandi. And when they're...
Yes.
And working people goes the same way. Yes, Thomas?
Can we wrap this up soon? My computer's going to kick me out soon, and I don't want to I want to be able to shut off this recording streams before it does so.
If you have to duck out, that's totally cool. Yeah,
good.
don't worry about it. If you want to say your goodbyes, you can, and feel free. Do not worry.
Yeah. But all the business magazines and stuff reported that their stock went down. I think like $1 million.
Oh, yeah.
From the like announcement that they're delaying the game, but Nintendo has never been about money, so they're the only game studios taking the first steps to treat
Actually,
their
like,
developers
because-
more
well,
humanly.
Then again, all of the crap I've been hearing about Sword and Shield.
I mean, the thing to remember
There's
about
one thing that I do have to bring up where it's like, yeah, Pokemon is a first party, but
Although on the other hand, I
first
can
of
also
all,
imagine
Game
that's them
Freak
trying to
isn't
limit
that
the
big of a
scope.
studio to begin with, and second of all, they're also technically third party. They just always
Well, no,
publish
they're
their
second
games on
party.
Nintendo.
Because
Yeah.
I believe
I mean,
Game Freak
under-
is owned by Nintendo
Basically
at this point.
second party, yeah. They're basically owned by Nintendo. They're not going to leave anytime soon, but they technically aren't.
There was an
So, yeah.
article sometime mid 2017, 2018, I think it was, in that range, where there was a financial report of like Nintendo's holdings and stuff, and they have a lot of money in
Oh
straight
yeah, they
up
can
capital.
probably
Like
They
not
do.
like even if
not in like investments, but in like actual money that they have in the
yeah, I
bank.
mean if like
So,
they
like-
want to make consoles that failed as much as the Wii U 7 times over, I think they'd still have enough money to make a new one.
Yeah, so
That's the-
that's
that's
the
the-
thing about Nintendo. People have said before, oh, around the Nintendo 64 time period, actually, everyone was like, wow, Nintendo's going to go bankrupt. And then the Wii U happened, and it happened again. Everyone was like, wow, Nintendo's going
The
under
only
because their
time
console's not the
Nintendo was
best.
actually
But
Nintendo assumed this was never
through
going
all
to
this,
happen because Nintendo
hold on,
just has too
Thomas,
much
don't
money in its
interrupt.
bank account.
Hold on, Thomas.
Thomas.
Hold. Yes, Tim.
So, yeah, because Nintendo has so much capital stored up, they could probably have released a couple other Wii U's after the Wii U and still had enough money to put out another console afterwards. They
Yeah,
just have
they've
that
been in
much
the
stored
black
up.
for-
Like, just put that in
they've-
perspective. You could
Yeah,
fail
for
2 or
sure.
3 generations and still be afloat if you're Nintendo.
As opposed to Sega.
Nintendo runs a tight ship.
yeah.
Yeah, they really want to make
The only-
games that make people
Yeah.
happy.
Yeah. The only time Nintendo's ever really been down was right before the NES launched, and that was only because, oh hey, home consoles are dead.
Although
Yeah.
that's mainly a stateside thing and like the Western world thing. There wasn't any such thing in Japan, from what I understand of it. The whole like game crash thing was just
But
on our
trying
side
to
with the
push
Atari
it
and
to
such.
the West was still a big risk.
Yeah, I'm glad they invested so much in that.
And that's why we have
Yeah,
Rob.
for sure.
Oh, yeah.
That's why we have Rob.
On the subject
It's a
of
lovable robot.
On the subject of Animal Crossing
Lovable robot.
proper, I am beyond excited for this game because one of the things that's always been a complaint with Animal Crossing is that people want to like be able to design their town exactly how they want it, and almost every single game that we've had, you've walked into a town with things set in places, and you could sometimes at the beginning of those games ask for a new randomly generated map, but you couldn't like ever input a seed or something like that to give your map a different shape.
Does this mean that
Now
we're
you're
going on
stuck with
competitive
whatever
Animal
river
Crossing?
shape.
Does this, so from what I understand, it sounds like we can have competitive Animal Crossing sometime soon.
I don't think so.
Because I mean, like, if you can pick the
We're not
seed,
gonna have a competitive Animal Crossing past Amiibo festival
MLG
anytime
Animal
soon.
Crossing.
I mean, Animal Crossing fishing tournaments are probably going to be lit when we have 8-player co-op at the same time. But the thing that's amazing about this new Animal Crossing is that you're literally starting from ground zero, which is something that people have really wanted from Animal Crossing. But I don't think
They
anyone,
want the Minecraft star.
no one ever thought that they would do this kind of like dead off start. But I'm wondering now, like, how far they're gonna let this go, because there's a good amount of space on this island. I'm watching some Animal Crossing footage from Nintendo Treehouse here, and this island is pretty dang big. And I'm wondering just how much in the way of like end game structures that you can end up doing. Because supposedly you're going to get back Isabelle at some point by Nook inviting other like important NPCs to the island, which makes you wonder if you can get to like a city island by the end of the game, which would be amazing. Like the idea of having
There have been a lot of rumors of new like city buildings. Like there's supposedly a skyscraper that you can build, but that's as far as I know.
yeah, but like for Animal Crossing, which is completely like a care game, like a game where you log in every day and you care for like the creatures that are in your village and stuff, and you're like taking care of things and you're going in to relax in this game. Like having a thing that's entirely your experience just seems so therapeutic and amazing.
actually, that kind of makes me want to say something, because, like, if the point of Animal Crossing is to relax, the whole, like, time-based element of it doesn't quite jive with me as something that would make me relax, because, like, I feel like I have to get back here every so often or something bad is going to happen. I don't know, that just doesn't make me, like, if that's what they're going for. I don't think that having it be quite so time-based really works for that.
I mean, in reality, the only things that are really time-based in town are like the lawn care and just talking to your friends in town.
Yeah, but like, if you don't
That's
talk to your
really been
friends
the only
enough, they could
things.
leave. And that could be
Yeah.
one of your favorite
I-
guys just saying, yeah, no, I've had enough of this town. Goodbye.
I mean, that's always been like a kind of issue with. That's always been like a thing with Animal Crossing. But I mean,
And I feel
when
like
you're
the
logging,
GameCube game did that the best, if for no other reason than because of the fact that you could say, like, oh yeah, like you could play for a month and then just say, oh yeah, no, it's only been a day since I last played.
Oh, speaking of which, Rossetti lost his job
Who?
Oh yeah.
That
because of a
is
new
that
auto
is a
unfortunate.
development.
Who?
So unfortunate.
Who lost his job?
Mr. Rossetti.
He was
The
a
guy who,
oh.
if you
Right.
mess with the time, will delete your save.
Come on.
Yeah.
R.I.P. Mr. Rossetti.
It's sad. Yeah.
Speaking of which, I remember
Yeah,
seeing
I'm
the
sure.
upload of one of the songs from Animal Crossing that had Mr. Rossetti talking through annotations on it. I'll provide a link if you guys want to see it.
Sure. Okay. Animal Crossing, it just seems fantastic. They showed so much footage of it too. Like, I'm really excited. I haven't looked through all of it, but I am very excited for Animal Crossing.
Okay,
Like,
guys, I'm gonna drop out now.
crafting.
See ya.
Okay.
All
Goodbye,
right.
Thomas.
Bye, Thomas.
Yeah.
Talk to
See
you.
ya, Thomas.
Bye, Thomas.
Talk to you next time. All right. Who else has something to talk about with E3? Because I have one or two that I was wanting to go over. But if anyone else has one, go ahead.
Let's see. I mean, I find it interesting that Microsoft and Sony both announced their consoles with very similar features. And more than anything, that Microsoft is not being console-centric anymore. So the Xbox, they're trying to make it to a brand. And yeah, but that said, I'm surprised they're still going to keep making hardware. They said beyond the next generation, if it is just a brand. Because you'd think they could just, if they have it on Switch and PS4 and PC, that they could live on that.
Yeah, I mean, Microsoft's slowly becoming a platform, becoming a services distributor instead of
Phil
an OS.
Spencer said on his Twitter even that they're a Nintendo third party at this point. So yeah,
Which would be incredibly exciting to have more Microsoft branded games on Nintendo consoles. That would be very exciting.
Yeah, and honestly, in my experience, with their games as a service model, Game Pass, it does work really well. And as a consumer, I do love the idea of being able to pay, what, 10 or 20 bucks a month, depending on what version you get, to play all these AAA games that, yeah, it's not all the games, obviously, but that's a lot of games.
Yeah.
Hundreds of games, and you could spend as much money on Game Pass in a year as you could on just buying 3 or 4 of these, but you get all of them for unlimited time.
Yeah, Game Pass is really
yeah.
So
From what I know,
It's like
is PlayStation Plus's features somewhat similar, or is that a different service? I'm thinking of their free
games-
monthly,
PlayStation
right?
Plus
You're thinking of-
has free games for certain months that you can download forever, but if you don't download that month, then that's it.
Gotcha.
Game Pass is wholly unique, where it's just no, any game that's ever on Game Pass stays on Game Pass.
Gotcha.
yeah, it is nice. So I could play Forza, which I wouldn't want to pay $60 for, but for just Game Pass, heck yeah.
The only
was a
thing
game where I
that
considered
PlayStation
purchasing-
Plus has on.
So I
only
considered
thing that
purchasing a game
PlayStation-
once, and I saw wow, I could pay so much for this game, or I could pay $5 less and get Game Pass for a month. So it's literally at that point where, with one game, it becomes economical. But of course, you don't own physical
Yeah.
games, and you don't even have the same digital ownership of games, because it's all as a service, just like Netflix or whatever.
Yeah.
The game historian in me is very concerned with Stadia and Game Pass coming into view and such. Now, with them as a games for service thing and games still existing, as you know, paid copies elsewhere, I it's not a huge issue, but having that become a only option worries me, because we've seen it happen where games get lost to time, even when they're just physical. Having a game be tied to a service like that, it means it can be gone forever, which is crazy to think about. It's crazy to think that PT doesn't exist except for on some people's consoles and Konami headquarters somewhere where it's probably been burned, and
Crazy.
and the Unreal.
Honestly, Konami probably deleted the source code.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Not
And
at
also,
all.
The Unreal
With how
4
they
remake.
treated Kojima, yeah, I wouldn't doubt it.
I mean, we do have a remake of it, but that's like in crazy legality zone, like which I think they've already been cease and desisted a couple times, and they keep on popping up.
Wow.
But
yeah.
but it's crazy to think that like that game is literally a ghost. It does not exist anymore, and that's wild. Like, sure, it was just a demo. It wasn't even like a product that you bought. But the fact that we have a piece of media that was shown once and then just disappears entirely is crazy to me, because there have been very few instances in like history where like a piece of media just poofs, it's gone. Like
So
like it's
I-
wild to me.
I can
Like,
see your point when it comes to software, but I feel like you're looking. It's a very 2010s mindset, because even 20 years ago, software was not stored in the cloud the same way it is today. It was not accessible. It could be just on a few floppy disks somewhere and nobody else. 50 years ago, I'm sure they didn't even save their software any longer than they needed to. 100 years ago, there was no such thing as software, really. But no, but if you think about it, most of the media that has existed for all of time is probably lost, probably destroyed. If you look at any ancient civilization, some of which generated massive amounts of media, it's pretty much all lost. We've just got a few fragments of it. So, preserving things
And it's
for history and for just sentimental value is fantastic, but we do have a heck of a lot of stuff preserved these days, and it's completely unparalleled historically. Like, there's been no other era where we have anything approaching this level of like documentation and just media being saved.
yeah, Jensen.
It's
So-
crazy how video games have come, because arcade machines are crazy undocumented, and there was all a point where we believed that Polybius could have been a real thing that happened.
definitely.
Like, but yeah, it's super hard to find any of these old arcade machines anywhere online. Like,
yeah.
it's insane how rare they are.
For sure.
But most of those, especially the newer ones, like I'm sure PT exists somewhere in a server. So
Yeah.
if somebody
would
wanted
just-
to put it out there, then, well, if the right people did, then it exists. I'm sure it's not lost, even if it's not available.
It's probably in the deep web somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah, I
The
mean,
deep
like,
web has everything. It has
Exactly.
to.
yeah.
So I mean, maybe I just disagree with you on the preservation side, and that's okay.
We've always gone back and forth on it. It's always an interesting discussion. On
The
subject-
preservation side is something that I'm a combination of your sides, where it's like, yeah, it'll be stored somewhere, but it depends on if that somewhere will have general access to everyone who wants it, or if it'll be locked and key access, where only a select few people in the dark web have it.
Yeah. To return to E3, I was wanting to talk about the best game to come out of the second best game to come out of the Bethesda conference, Wolfenstein Youngblood.
Ooh.
Oh my god. So Wolfenstein is like one
I
of
was about to say,
it's amazing, but the fact that it is a like a set in stone like co-op first person shooter is something that I cannot think I've seen in a relatively long time for a story based like first person shooter game.
Wow.
Like,
So it's
I
like
genuinely-
it's like a way out in that sense.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, I think they also even have the thing where if you buy a copy, you get a second game to give to a friend to play the co-op with.
Oh, that is amazing.
So, which
So-
is a really awesome policy.
Did you hear about A Way Out?
I'm trying to remember which one that
Okay.
was. It's ringing a bell.
Yeah, it was
It
this
cut
French
out.
guy.
What was it?
A Way Out. So
Yeah, it's
Oh,
that,
yeah,
that
I-
co-op
French
game
development
where you break out
team
of prison.
is headed by Jose Perez, and they made this. It's kind of an indie, but it was published by Ubisoft, and
Right,
the
yeah.
whole game requires co-op. So it's
Yeah.
great though because it's very cinematic. You can have couch co-op, split screen, all that, and it's great. But if you have no friend with you to play with, you can play it online co-op with another person, and
Yeah.
yeah, you don't get the same couch co-op experience, but you can still play the game if you're just by yourself. Now, the other thing that I absolutely loved about it was they did a similar thing where, at least on the PC version, I'm not sure how it works on consoles, if you own it and you have a friend on Ubisoft's service Uplay, then they can download the game and they can play it with you as long as one of you owns it.
That's a really progressive
So
idea as
yeah,
far as co-op
revolutionary.
goes.
Yeah.
But well,
That's really
I think
cool.
it is. But that was just yeah, it had pretty high production values, but it was still an indie game, smaller
Yeah.
release. So it's kind of amazing to see
Unfortunately,
this in a more AAA game.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I don't know
Yeah.
if they have anything to that extent. I think when you buy the deluxe edition from what I can tell in the small thing, when you buy the deluxe edition, you get a buddy pass to give to a friend who can get a copy of the game. And I don't know if they have split screen in this version. I
So
would
it's
be
online?
surprised. So I think it is dedicated online for this game, but I mean it is an FPS, so that kind of makes sense.
Man, I hate the
But-
fact that that's a correlation.
Yeah, I know. It's a weird period to be in where split screen FPS is basically gone, but I think that's just the industry's hubris of always wanting better graphics coming back to bite it. Like because of that, now we no longer have split screen FPS because our graphics are too good for our machines anymore. Which is a really
Yep.
sad way to put it, but that's how it goes.
It's just the way it has to be.
It sucks. But I just find it really fascinating because I've rewatched this trailer a couple times, and it doesn't look like, at least from the trailer, that there's anything in particular that's co-op focused as far as mechanics go. The co-op is in there just as there's another actor that's running through in the same levels as you, just shooting shit together.
Okay,
Like,
sounds like fun.
There doesn't seem to. I mean, it seems like it's going to be amazing because it's Wolfenstein. Like Wolfenstein's first-person mechanics are some of the best in the genre right now, other than Doom, the other Bethesda FPS right now. Which is really weird to say. Bethesda is the king of FPS
Well,
right now.
I feel like we should
that's
Yeah.
caveat call it id, because id develops these,
Yeah.
don't they?
not Wolfenstein. Wolfenstein, I believe.
Wolfenstein
Wolfenstein used
is
to be
by Bethesda's Austin team, isn't it?
I am
Houston, sorry.
checking now.
I know id is the one that makes Doom.
Yeah, Wolfenstein, Youngblood, Google. I believe it's done by Machine Games. Okay, so so Youngblood is being developed by Arcane Studios and Machine Games.
Okay.
So Arcane, the people behind Dishonored, and Machine Games, who did the previous Wolfenstein games. So yeah, I believe it's being run in the id Tech engine, though. That's what Wikipedia is telling me. So it's being done in the id engine, at least. So they're probably getting help from the id team, but
Yeah,
not
definitely.
developed by. So yeah, I'm just very excited for good FPSs again. It's wild that the past few years, Doom 2016, the Wolfenstein series, and now more Wolfenstein and more Doom, I've never been happier as far as FPSs are concerned. It's really amazing.
And with how they've been treating Doom and Wolfenstein, they're honestly not the show I say, but they're honestly Bethesda's current kings of their franchises.
Well, shall we wrap this up? We're coming up on an hour. I think
Sounds like a good time.
now's as good a time as
Yeah.
ever.
Yeah.
That seems like pretty good, unless anyone has any final thoughts on
Flight Simulator
E3.
and Age of
Also, yes,
Empires.
Flight Simulator.
Flight
Yeah.
Simulator. Oh,
You know what?
Dude, this is my 1990s computer, Windows 98 childhood
We're
coming
over.
back all over again.
There's probably someone out there
We're
who
almost
thinks
over
that
an
we're
hour into this.
So there's probably someone out there who thinks that we're joking, but I'm pretty sure Tim and I are both genuinely excited for Microsoft Flight Simulator, the new one, because it
Oh,
looks.
yeah.
Me too.
There's a lot of people
I
excited
like
about
it.
it. I mean, honestly, I'm more excited about Age of Empires 2, but I just find it funny
I mean,
that these
yeah.
are both these Windows 98 computer games that I used to play, and now suddenly they're the newest releases at E3.
I can't get over how dead drop gorgeous like the new Microsoft Flight Simulator game is. Like
Nice.
obviously flight simulators are some of the best. Hello Thomas. We're about
I'm
to
back.
wrap up. I just
I
cannot
looked into
believe it
somebody
looks so
comes, I
good.
could come back here.
Yes, Microsoft Flight Simulator.
Better than Microsoft
Okay.
Flight, I hope.
Probably will be. I think that's been us. Unless anyone has some final E3 thoughts, I think we're good to head on out.
You
And
mean
finish
I
up
started my recording session back up
Yeah,
for nothing?
I think that's good.
Come again, Thomas?
Ju-
You mean I got back into recording for nothing because you guys are just about now done?
Yes, we've been going on an hour, so yeah.
Yeah.
Just a brief thing, really, and we can always say this for next time.
Go ahead.
And I would say this for now because I wanted Tim's opinion. Fallen Order, the Star Wars game.
Oh.
Your thoughts?
I haven't actually seen the trailer for it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, like,
I've been
no,
so bad
no, it's
keeping up
fine.
with E3 this year. Like worse than
Honestly,
the past
I have to.
ever.
I have to. So we can always
Yeah.
save this for next time if that's okay with everyone else.
That sounds good to me.
Yeah,
Give me time to watch it.
yeah. Because like they released gameplay like mid last week, and it's like a good 14, 15 minutes of gameplay on the
Yeah,
game.
Wow.
Yeah.
it looks pretty good. Yeah.
Fallen Order, I love how Respawn is just telling EA what they're doing, and EA doesn't even have a say in it other than for the cosmetics. But yeah, it looks really good.
All right. Well, I think then in that case we can say that for next time, and we'll see you all next time. Sign-offs.
Bye!
So long.
Yeah, thank you for
Bye.
listening.
Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll talk to you next time.
See ya.